My name is Austin Thomas. We have 4 children, 21 all the way down to 5.
We were born and raised here in Houston, and we met essentially in 5th grade.
My name is Rex. I grew up in Hong Kong. Then moved down to Houston for my job, and I'm an airline pilot.
My name's Bill Ennis. Was born and raised in the North New Jersey area. The whole tribe kind of just moved down here. Met my wife back home in New Jersey. We got Kira, Ashley, and Sophie. My family was always involved in the church. Every Sunday, we were at church.
As far as faith goes, I always know of God. I wouldn't say I truly knew God.
The way I was dealing with that and the situation I'm in is that it came off as anger growing up. I remember being that angry kid and an angry teenager. In my mind, I blamed God for that, for the problems, you know?
We weren't heavy churchgoers in the beginning, and I think our relationship reflected that as parents.
My friend from school kept on inviting me, saying you should come. And so then I started asking my parents. We finally decided to go one Sunday. And then I went to 6th grade camp and I gave my life to Christ. And I got baptized the next Sunday.
Coming to 2nd, I just felt like cloud 9. To see her blossom, that eagerness to just pursue Christ, and the community that kind of surrounded her and loved on her was essential to what was about to happen.
So in August of 2023, one Sunday, Hollis got really sick, just with high fever, and eventually got to the point where he was in so much pain that he couldn't walk. So we took him to the doctor early the next morning. The doctor basically came back and said that Hollis was diagnosed with leukemia.
I just started to cry because I was so nervous of what would I have to do if I would have to get lots of pokes, and I was just scared to do it, so I wasn't prepared.
As I was growing up, I noticed that things were a little bit more difficult from a mobility and strength perspective. Friends were always faster, jump higher, do all that kind of stuff. I could always tell something was not right. It took years of going to different doctors and getting different tests done. Finally, around 6th or 7th grade, we got to a doctor who was able to figure out that I had a muscular dystrophy, is what they call it. Just components of my muscles and my body just deteriorate over time.
I was 100% determined on reaching my goal of becoming a pilot, so career was my priority, number 1, and never gave God much thought. In fact, I would say God's influence in my life was probably close to 0%.
I come from a divorced household, and so I would go to church here and there with Mom and my grandma, but I was always angry. Mom could tell. Anytime I'd come home, I'd be irate, to say the least.
The loss of my mom.
That's what really hit me. It was Mimi, my grandmother. She was my best friend by far. Closest person I've ever been to.
It was a lot for him. The avalanche came.
Later into my teens, into my early 20s is when things started getting really difficult. I couldn't go up steps. I was starting to fall a lot. I woke up one morning and the whole right side of my body was completely numb. Went to the doctor, and after some more tests, turns out I also have multiple sclerosis. Really bizarre to have both.
People that fall out, there were excuses. We just weren't where we needed to be for us or our children.
It was emptiness.
Did you still pray?
I didn't do anything. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't pray.
And then now I got to a point that I've reached my goal, and I asked myself, what now? What's the meaning of life? I still got a lot of years ahead of me.
That is where I think the anger really got ramped up, because I realized this was a permanent problem and a progressive problem, which is going to ultimately be pretty bad one day.
I was frustrated. 1, because he was my baby boy. 2, because he's done nothing wrong. He's the life of the party everywhere he goes. He's just an innocent kid. You know, why him? Why does he have to suffer?
And I was trying to rationalize it. Like, why? I don't get it, you know? That's what it felt like. It felt like he was a villain. Complete rage towards him, and it was because he did this to me, and he's bad.
And even though, like, it's hard for him to understand and it was hard for us to understand, I still knew that the Lord was good and that he was going to show up in ways that, like, I couldn't even dream or imagine. And to this day, like, even though we're still kind of in the thick of it, like, he has 100% been faithful.
When I found out about Alice's diagnosis, I kind of wanted to pull away, but I knew I needed to, like, stay firm in Christ, and I just continuously, like, prayed.
She's about to start 6th grade, and she needed her mom and her dad with her, you know, to tour the school and stuff. And the amount of support from 2nd, the village that just showed up. It was beautiful to witness.
This one day, on a Saturday in the summer, power went out of my apartment, so it's gonna get super hot at the apartment. So I probably wanna get out, go somewhere. And then, okay, maybe I should go to church today. And I've seen these social media posts, people asking, okay, what church in the Kingwood area has a good young adult group? Second Baptist kept getting recommended. They have a young adult Bible study at 6 p.m. So, well, perfect timing. And here I am.
My mom and dad were always involved in a church back in New Jersey. And I think it got to the point where they were like, you know what, we really need to get involved with the church. And so they found Second Baptist. And they got Shannon to go. And I was still like, no, I'm not going. I don't want it. I don't want to do any of that. Shannon went a few times and came back one day. I was like, listen, it's really nice there. You should really come and see. It took maybe 1 or 2 times, 3 times going, and then it started to really feel like a little bit of a loosening up to faith. It got me thinking what the Bible is really about, how God really feels about us. Over time, it started to make me realize, man, I've been thinking about this all wrong. And it started to shift from like this God, why, to like, God, thank you, actually. And that's when I started realizing, like, okay, well, now I realize there's more going on here, and I really misjudged this whole situation pretty poorly.
Thought it was a Topgolf when they
I
started
did. When they were
building it.
building it, I thought they were building a Topgolf, and then it was a church. I would have never walked into Second if it wasn't for my neighbors inviting me. They had asked us for almost 2 years. We went on February 25th, Go Texans Sunday. It was crazy. Walking into that, it was a lot. And we never left. We didn't try any other church. We loved it.
The first Wednesday live, I was like skeptical because I was like, what is it going to be? And like that Wednesday message, it was about like grief, because I never really got over my grandmother's passing. I remember I just cried that message. Just overwhelming emotions just hit me. Yeah, that was the night I gave my life. I just had this joy.
And then he went to beach retreat, which did something really big for him.
The time I spent there, the time that we all spent with God, the fact that I knew we all wanted to get closer and we all strive for that better relationship.
I feel like we grow the most in the valleys as much as they're hard. We have become like bolder in our faith. Like throughout the hospital, we would constantly, like whenever we get praise reports for his clear scans, we were like, as much as we're thankful for the doctors, like at the end of the day, like this is the Lord healing him. I just feel so much closer to the Lord, and that he is like more real to me, like we've seen him tangibly.
And he's given him the courage and the strength to walk through this path and this treatment with his chin up high and his confidence soaring.
I just feel like he's like with me and like makes me more stronger and like makes me more brave for like the things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Once I started realizing how wrong I was about how I saw God, I started praying the prayer that they would, have us pray. And then the pastor said, look up at me if you want to take that next step. And I looked up. Something came over me.
So I've decided to get baptized, and I have no doubt that that's the right thing to do.
Baptism's not like your life's always going to be easy now. It's a public announcement of your faith. But I just felt a lot of peace when I did it because I had all my friends there, I had my family there.
And so it was after service one day, and we come around the corner, and the worship center is like almost half full of people. And they all were there to watch us do it and celebrate with us. And that was like a little bit of a moment too. It's just saying, whoa, is there something going on? I think we thought there was like, is there something like a routine going on stage or something? And then we realized they were there for us. They had a ramp that led right up to the tub, so I could, the wheelchair went right up on there, and it felt like, I don't know if this makes sense, but it was like relief.
From that, with us telling one friend to another, we've had like roughly 22 people come and join the church since we started.
A lot of people that are looking for the same thing, but the conversation never comes up until you say it.
We typically fill a whole row up every Sunday.
To see what Second gave us, what we were walking through, we want to do the same for the next family.
I feel like there is a purpose versus having no purpose and just being, I don't know. I felt like I was damaged goods back then, I don't feel that anymore. That is a gift I didn't know I could have when I was younger and so angry. I didn't realize it. What I realized is that the healing has nothing to do with my body. The healing is just the soul, really.
He's in full remission, and we're in maintenance stage of the chemo treatment. So one day he's fully sedated, getting chemo treatment. The next day he's playing baseball and hustling and hitting homers.
So after all these years, rediscovering God kind of gives me hope for the future. It's good knowing that we are redeemable. There's just so much to look forward to.
All right, last question. Do you feel hopeful?
Hopeful. That's a loaded question. That is a crazy question, actually. Do I feel hopeful? I'll say it this way, actually. I don't know if this is something you want to hear, but I don't feel hopeless. I've never really been a hopeful person, ever. Like, never. Never been a hopeful person. I'm not an optimist. That's not my thing. But I'm not hopeless, and I've always been hopeless. I would almost say I've made progress there, and I didn't realize it until you just asked me, to be honest. Maybe hopeful. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I think I am. You're right.